Before you spend another coin, check the date, mint mark, and reverse design because some of the most overlooked U.S. coins can be hiding in ordinary pocket change. In this video, we're searching through state quarters, Washington quarters, and Buffalo nickels for the details collectors actually care about. Some of these coins may look completely ordinary, but the right mint error, die variety, mint mark difference, strike anomaly, or exceptional condition can completely change the story. On the state quarters, we'll inspect the state designs, lettering, rims, and possible mint-made errors. On the Washington quarters, we'll check the dates, mint marks, eagle reverses, strikes, and surfaces. And when we reach the Buffalo nickels, the hunt gets even more interesting because worn dates, famous varieties, and tiny reverse details can make a huge difference. But remember, a scratch is not automatically a die crack. Damage is not automatically an error. And an old coin is not automatically valuable. The real money is in finding the right coin, right variety, right diagnostic, right condition. So grab your old coin jars, rolls, inherited collections, and pocket change and stay with me all the way to the end. Because one of these coins may be hiding a detail most people would never even think to check. Let's begin with coin number 1. Sometimes the most mysterious Buffalo nickel is the one that refuses to tell you its age. On this coin, the date has been worn away, and at first that can make it seem like there is nothing left to investigate. But that would be a mistake. The Buffalo nickel series was struck during one of the most fascinating periods of American coinage. And heavily worn examples like this can still teach you exactly why collectors inspect every surviving detail. The missing date does not automatically make the coin valuable, but it creates one immediate question. What was this nickel before decades of wear erased its identity? Start at the area beneath the Native American portrait where the date should appear. On a normal Buffalo nickel, this is one of the highest and most vulnerable areas of the design. Years of circulation can gradually flatten those numbers until almost nothing remains. That is why so many Buffalo nickels eventually become undated coins. Do not mistake the missing date for a mint error. In most cases, it is simply the result of heavy circulation wear. But even when the date is gone, the rest of the coin can still contain important clues. Look closely at Liberty near the rim. Examine the letters and compare how much detail remains. Then study the portrait itself. Look at the hair, feathers, cheek, nose, and neck. Stronger surviving detail can tell you that some parts of the coin experienced less wear than others. The rim also deserves attention. Follow it around the entire circumference and look for anything that appears unusually struck, incomplete, clipped, or distorted. A genuine production error can create collector interest, but ordinary damage from decades of circulation can produce similar-looking effects, so the entire coin has to tell a consistent story. This is where the big money possibility gets interesting. Buffalo nickels include famous key dates, important varieties, and major mint errors that can reach thousands, tens of thousands, and in exceptional collector situations far beyond what anyone would expect from a 5-cent coin. But an undated Buffalo nickel cannot simply inherit those values because it belongs to the same series. The exact date, mint, variety, error, and condition are what create serious collector money. And there is another trap here. Some people try to reveal a worn date by using chemicals or aggressive surface treatments. That can permanently alter the coin. If you believe an undated Buffalo nickel may have collector significance, do not clean it, polish it, scrape it, or use acid or chemicals trying to expose the date. Once the original surface is changed, that damage cannot be undone. If you have access to the reverse, inspect it carefully. The reverse can reveal the mint mark, design type, Buffalo details, and other information that simply cannot be determined from this obverse image alone. That missing information can be critical because two Buffalo nickels that look almost identical from the front can have completely different collector stories once the reverse is examined. So when you find an undated Buffalo nickel, Do not dismiss it simply because the numbers disappeared. Check Liberty, inspect the portrait, examine the rim, preserve the original surfaces, and study the reverse before drawing conclusions. Because sometimes the most intriguing 5-cent coin is not the one that immediately reveals its secret. It is the one that makes you work to discover what it used to be. Tiny P mint mark may be the first thing you notice on this 1984 P Washington quarter, but collectors know the real investigation goes much deeper than one letter. Coins from the 1980s often circulated heavily, picked up scratches, lost their original luster, and became so familiar that most people stopped paying attention to them. That creates an interesting situation. When a 1984 P survives with an unusual mint-made characteristic, stronger than normal condition, or dramatic production error, it can separate itself quickly from the millions of ordinary examples people ignored. Begin with the P mint mark beside Washington's ponytail. Study its shape and the metal surrounding it. Then move down to the 1984 date and inspect all 4 digits. Look for anything that appears unusually thick, shifted, incomplete, or doubled. After that, examine In God We Trust and Liberty. Small lettering can sometimes reveal die characteristics more clearly than the portrait itself, but one unusual-looking edge is not enough to prove a rare variety. That is where beginners get trapped. A heavily circulated quarter can accumulate scratches, dents, stains, corrosion, and flattened metal. A hit near the mint mark can distort the P. Machine-related damage can create a second-looking edge around letters. A scratch can imitate a die crack. The feature has to make sense as something created during the minting process, not something that happened years later. Now inspect Washington's portrait. Study the hair, cheek, jaw, neck, and the open fields around the face. Condition can become extremely important. 2 1984 P quarters may carry the exact same date and mint mark, yet one can be heavily worn while another retains much sharper detail, cleaner fields, and stronger original luster. Then turn the coin over and inspect the eagle reverse. Look at the eagle's wings, breast, legs, arrows, olive branches, and the lettering around United States of America and quarter dollar. Pay special attention to anything that appears missing, distorted, shifted, or unusually weak. This is where the big money possibility enters the story. A normal circulated 1984 P Washington quarter is not automatically valuable, but a major authenticated mint error, wrong planchy strike, dramatic off-center strike, significant die variety, or exceptional high-grade survivor can move a quarter from 25 cents into hundreds or thousands of dollars. Extremely unusual production errors across the Washington quarter series can reach even stronger collector territory. The critical phrase is the right coin. Not every 1984 P. Not every strange mark. The right error, right diagnostic, and right condition. Tilt the quarter slowly beneath a strong light and watch the edges of the date, P mint mark, and lettering. If a suspicious feature remains consistent from several angles, it deserves closer examination. And if something looks unusual, do not clean the coin. Do not polish it. Do not scrape around the mint mark. Do not use chemicals trying to improve the surface. So whenever you find a 1984 P Washington quarter, check the P mint mark, inspect the 1984 date, study the lettering, examine Washington's portrait, and turn the coin over to inspect the eagle A&D rim. Because sometimes a quarter everyone considers ordinary becomes interesting for one reason. Something about the way it was made is not ordinary at all. A 1982 buffalo standing beneath a wide western sky may look like nothing more than an attractive state quarter design, but the 2006 North Dakota quarter gives coin hunters several reasons to slow down. This is exactly the kind of modern quarter people assume cannot be valuable because it is not especially old. That assumption is dangerous. Modern U.S. quarters can become far more interesting when a genuine mint error, unusual strike, planch problem, or important die characteristic appears. And with the North Dakota design, There are several large areas where an unusual production feature can become easy to spot once you know where to look. Begin with the two buffalo in the center of the reverse. Study the outlines of their bodies, legs, heads, and the open spaces around them. Then inspect the sun, the landscape, and the surrounding lettering. Look carefully at North Dakota 1889, 2006, and E pluribus unum. Anything that looks doubled, unusually thick, incomplete, shifted, or distorted deserves a second look, but do not automatically call it rare. Circulation wear, scratches, hits, and lighting can create false impressions. Now, move to the rim. Follow it all the way around the quarter. This is where a dramatic off-center strike, broad strike, clipping issue, or another major production anomaly could become much easier to recognize. A genuine striking error should affect the design in a logical way. Random damage after the coin left the mint usually tells a different story. This is where the big money possibility becomes exciting. A normal 2006 North Dakota quarter may simply be a piece of pocket change, but a dramatic, genuine mint error can move a modern quarter into hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on exactly what happened. Extreme wrong planche or major striking errors across modern U.S. coinage can enter even stronger collector territory. The critical point is that the value comes from the exact error, not simply because the coin says North Dakota. And because the supplied image shows the reverse only, there is another important step. Turn your own coin over and check the mint mark on the obverse. A P or D alone does not create a jackpot, but identifying the mint is essential when comparing varieties and documented errors. Now examine the surface under changing light. Tilt the quarter slowly and watch the shadows around the buffalo, lettering, and rim. A real die-related characteristic should remain part of the design as the lighting changes. A reflection or surface scrape may suddenly reveal itself. If you find something unusual, do not clean the coin. Do not polish it, scrape it, or use chemicals. Original surfaces can become extremely important when a coin turns out to have a legitimate collector feature. So, whenever you find a 2006 North Dakota State quarter, do not let the modern date fool you. Check the buffalo, inspect the lettering, study the rim, look for unusual strike characteristics, and turn the coin over to identify the mint mark. Because the quarter people assume is too modern to matter, can become much more interesting when the right mint-made detail appears. A 1919 Buffalo nickel has one immediate advantage over many heavily worn coins from this series. If the date is still readable, you already have one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. But that does not mean the investigation is finished. In fact, with a coin this old, the date is only the beginning. The real collector story can depend on the mint mark, strike quality, die characteristics, and how much original detail survived more than a century of circulation. That is why a 1919 Buffalo nickel can move from a simple 5-cent curiosity into serious collector territory when the right combination appears. Start with the 1919 date beneath the Native American portrait. Look carefully at all 4 digits. On Buffalo nickels, the date sits on a raised portion of the design, which means circulation can gradually wear it down. If your 1919 still has a strong, readable date, that alone makes attribution easier. Then move upward and inspect Liberty near the rim. Study the letters one by one and look for anything unusually weak, doubled, distorted, or inconsistent with the surrounding design. After that, examine the portrait itself. Look at the hair, feathers, cheek, nose, and neck. Strong surviving detail can make one 1919 nickel look completely different from another example of the same year. But there is one detail you cannot determine from the obverse alone, and it can completely change the story: the mint mark. On Buffalo nickels, the mint mark is found on the reverse, beneath the denomination area. That means you must turn the coin over before trying to decide exactly which 1919 issue you have. A 1919 with no mint mark, a 1919D, and a 1919S are not automatically the same collector proposition. The exact mint can matter enormously. especially when scarcity and condition begin working together. This is where the big money possibility becomes interesting. Buffalo nickels from this era can become dramatically more desirable when the correct mint issue survives in unusually strong condition. Add a legitimate die variety, striking anomaly, or genuine mint error, and the value can move far beyond 5 cents. The right Buffalo nickel can enter thousands of dollars, five-figure collector money, and in exceptional cases even more extreme territory. But the important distinction is that those values belong to the exact rare issue or specimen, not every coin carrying the 1919 date. Now inspect the rim carefully. Follow it around the entire coin and look for anything that appears incomplete, unusually narrow, clipped, or distorted. Then tilt the nickel under a strong light. Watch how the shadows move across the date, feathers, and lettering. Wear, scratches, corrosion, and environmental damage can create strange-looking features, so do not confuse post-mint damage with a genuine production error. And whatever you find, do not clean this coin. Do not polish it, scrape it, or use chemicals trying to brighten the surface. Original surfaces matter, and aggressive cleaning can permanently reduce collector appeal. So when a 1919 Buffalo nickel appears in an old collection, do not stop after reading the date. Check the 1919 date, inspect Liberty, study the portrait, examine the rim, and most importantly, turn the coin over and identify the mint mark. Because with a Buffalo nickel this old, one tiny letter on the reverse can completely change the collector story. 3 ships crossing the water make the 2000 Virginia State Quarter one of the most recognizable designs in the entire State Quarter series. But that familiar artwork can actually make people less careful. Most viewers see the ships, read Virginia, and move on. A collector looks at the same coin and asks a completely different question. Are all of these design elements struck the way they are supposed to be? That is where this quarter becomes interesting, because a genuine die variety, striking error, or unusual production characteristic can hide inside a design filled with small lines, sails, lettering, and open areas. Begin with the 3 ships in the center of the reverse. Inspect the sails, masts, hulls, and the water beneath them. Because the design contains so many narrow lines, this is exactly the kind of coin where damage or wear can fool the eye. A scratch across a sail can look like an extra design line. Flattened metal around a mast can resemble doubling. A hit from another coin can make part of the ship appear broken or missing. That is why you should compare several areas before deciding that something unusual is a genuine mint-made feature. Next, inspect the lettering. Look closely at Virginia, the date 1788, the Jamestown 1607-2007 inscription, quadricentennial, and the 2000 date near the bottom. If you see unusual thickness, duplicated edges, incomplete letters, or distortion, change the lighting and look again. Genuine die-related characteristics should remain consistent with the design, while reflections, scratches, and circulation damage can change dramatically as the coin is tilted. Now examine the rim all the way around. A major off-center strike, broad strike, clipped planche, or another striking anomaly can become especially obvious when the rim and lettering no longer align normally. But again, ordinary edge damage should not be confused with a real mint error. A genuine production problem usually affects more than one part of the coin in a logical way. This is where the big value possibility enters the story. A normal circulated 2000 Virginia quarter may stay close to face value, but a dramatic authenticated error can move a modern state quarter into hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the exact type, severity, and rarity. Major wrong planche, striking, or die errors can push collector interest even higher. The key is that the value belongs to the exact error, not simply to every Virginia quarter from 2000. And because the supplied image shows the reverse side, you still need to turn your own coin over and identify the mint mark on the obverse. Knowing whether the coin came from Philadelphia or Denver is important when comparing known varieties and unusual production characteristics. Never guess the mint from the reverse alone. Also pay attention to the surface quality. Strong original luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks can matter on modern coins, especially when collectors compete for unusually well-preserved examples. A heavily circulated quarter and a sharply preserved example of the same date can have completely different appeal. If you find something suspicious, do not clean it. Do not polish the ships, rub the lettering, or use chemicals trying to reveal more detail. Original surfaces can become very important if the coin turns out to be collectible. So whenever you find a 2000 Virginia State quarter, do not just admire the design. Check the ships, inspect the lettering, follow the rim. Study the surfaces, and turn the coin over to identify the mint mark. Because sometimes the difference between 25 cents and a serious collector coin can hide inside a design line most people never thought to inspect. 80D Washington quarter is exactly the kind of coin most people would never expect to become interesting. It is not extremely old, it circulated heavily, and millions of Americans have handled quarters from this era without ever checking them closely. But collectors do not judge a coin by age alone. They look for the right mint mark, unusual die characteristics, major strike errors, unexpected planche problems, and exceptional preservation. That means the real question is not simply whether you have a 1980D quarter. The real question is whether your coin has something the ordinary examples do not. Start with the small D mint mark beside Washington's ponytail. Study its shape, position, and the surrounding metal. Then move down to the 1980 date and inspect every digit carefully. Look for unusual thickness, separation, distortion, or anything that appears inconsistent with the rest of the design. After that, move to In God We Trust and then Liberty. These smaller design elements can sometimes reveal suspicious die characteristics more clearly than the larger portrait. But this is also where circulation damage creates false excitement. A hit near the D can distort the mint mark. Flattened metal can imitate doubling. A scratch can resemble a die crack. Environmental staining can make the surface look dramatically different. That does not automatically create a rare variety. A genuine mint-made characteristic should fit logically with how the coin was produced. Now examine Washington's portrait. Look closely at the hair, cheek, jaw, neck, and the open fields surrounding the face. This is where condition begins to matter. A heavily circulated 1980D quarter may show weak details and many contact marks, while a much sharper survivor can retain stronger luster, cleaner fields, and more defined design elements. When a legitimate production feature combines with exceptional preservation, collector interest can rise much faster. Then flip the quarter over and inspect the eagle reverse. Study the eagle's wings, breast, arrows, olive branches, and the lettering around United States of America and quarter dollar. Look for anything unusually weak, incomplete, doubled, shifted, or distorted. Also follow the rim around the entire reverse. A genuine off-center strike, broad strike, clipped planche, or other major striking problem often affects more than one area of the coin. This is where the big money possibility becomes exciting. A normal circulated 1980D Washington quarter may remain close to face value, but the right major mint error, wrong planche strike, dramatic striking anomaly, significant die variety, or extreme high-grade survivor can move a quarter into hundreds or thousands of dollars. The strongest Washington quarter errors can enter even higher collector territory when the exact rarity supports it. But remember the rule: the date alone does not create the value. The money comes from the right error, right diagnostic, right condition, and right coin. Tilt the quarter slowly under strong light. Watch the edges of the D mint mark, date, lettering, and rim. If a suspicious feature remains consistent from several angles, it deserves closer study. And if something looks unusual, do not clean it. Do not polish it, scrape it, or use chemicals trying to improve the surface. Original surfaces can become extremely important if the coin turns out to be collectible. So whenever you find a 1980D Washington quarter, check the D mint mark, inspect the 1980 date, study In God We Trust, examine Washington's portrait, and flip the coin over to inspect the eagle rim AND surfaces. Because sometimes a modern-looking quarter becomes interesting for one simple reason: The mint did something different A&D almost nobody noticed. A 1915 Buffalo nickel can look deceptively simple, but that date belongs to a part of the series where collectors begin paying very close attention to mint location, strike quality, surviving detail, and condition. A coin like this may have circulated for more than a century, and that means every surviving feature matters. One 1915 nickel may be heavily worn and overlooked. Another, with the right mint mark and much stronger preservation, can enter a completely different collector category. That is why the first question is not simply, do I have a 1915? The better question is, which 1915 do I have and how much detail survived? Begin with the 1915 date beneath the Native American portrait. Buffalo nickel dates are notorious for wearing down because they sit on a raised area of the design. If all 4 digits are still clearly visible, that gives you an important advantage. Then move upward to Liberty near the rim. Inspect the letters individually. Look for unusual weakness, distortion, or anything that seems different from the surrounding design. After that, study the portrait itself. Pay attention to the hair, feathers, cheek, nose, and neck. These areas can reveal how much circulation the coin experienced and whether the strike was strong to begin with. But the most important identification step is on the reverse. The obverse tells you the year, but the reverse tells you the mint. A 1915 Buffalo nickel with no mint mark, a 1915D, and a 1915S are not interchangeable from a collector standpoint. That tiny letter beneath the denomination area can dramatically change how the coin is viewed. This is why you should never stop your inspection after reading the date. The mint mark can be the detail that completely changes the story. Now think about the value side. A worn Buffalo nickel may be interesting simply because of its age, but the serious money usually comes from the right issue in the right condition. When an early Buffalo nickel combines a scarcer mint, strong remaining detail, attractive original surfaces, and a legitimate variety or mint-made characteristic, collector interest can rise fast. The best Buffalo nickels can move into thousands of dollars, 5-figure territory, and even more extreme levels when the exact rarity, grade, and attribution justify it. That does not make every 1915 Buffalo nickel a jackpot. It means the correct mint, condition, and diagnostic can turn an otherwise familiar nickel into a serious collector prize. This is also where beginners can be fooled by wear. A weak date does not automatically mean a rare die variety. Scratches can look like die lines. Corrosion can distort the portrait. Flattened details can make parts of the design seem missing. The key is consistency. A genuine mint-made characteristic should fit the way the coin was struck, not look like random damage acquired decades later. Inspect the rim carefully and look at the coin from several lighting angles. Then examine the reverse for the buffalo, denomination, and mint mark. If you see something unusual, preserve it exactly as it is. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not use chemicals. A century-old nickel with original surfaces can be far more desirable than the same coin after someone tries to make it look newer. So when you find a 1915 Buffalo nickel, do not let the date be the end of the search. Let it be the beginning. Check the date. Inspect Liberty. Study the portrait. Turn the coin over. Identify the mint mark. And evaluate the condition carefully. Because with early Buffalo nickels, one small letter and one level of preservation can be enough to move a coin from 5 cents into a completely different world of collector value. A 1999 Connecticut State quarter can fool you because the reverse looks simple at first: one large tree, a few lines of lettering, and plenty of open space. But that simplicity actually makes this coin easier to inspect. When a design has one dominant feature, even a small production anomaly can stand out quickly. That is why collectors pay close attention to the charter oak, the branches, the trunk, the lettering, and the rim. If the right die, characteristic, strike error, or unusual production feature appears, a quarter that looks ordinary can move into a completely different collector category. Start with the charter oak tree in the center of the reverse. Look closely at the branches. especially the thin outer limbs near the edges of the design. Then inspect the thicker center branches and the trunk. If you notice a raised line, an extra-looking branch, unusual thickness, or a feature that seems repeated, do not assume immediately that you have found a rare error. Circulation damage, scratches, contact marks, and lighting can all make the tree look more complicated than it really is. The feature has to appear like it was created during the minting process. Next, inspect the lettering around the design. Look carefully at Connecticut 1788, the Charter Oak 1999, and E Pluribus Unum. Pay attention to the edges of the letters and numbers. If something looks doubled, shifted, incomplete, or unusually thick, rotate the quarter under a strong light and inspect it from several angles. A genuine die-related characteristic should remain part of the design, while a scratch or reflection can change dramatically as the lighting moves. Now, move to the rim. Follow it around the entire quarter. Look for areas where the rim appears unusually narrow, missing, flattened, or inconsistent with the rest of the coin. A dramatic off-center strike, clipped planchet, broad strike, or another major production anomaly can create immediate collector interest. But random edge damage after the coin left the mint can create similar-looking shapes, so the entire design has to support the error story. This is where the big money possibility gets interesting. A normal circulated 1999 Connecticut quarter may remain close to face value, but a genuine dramatic mint error can move a state quarter into hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on the exact error, rarity, and condition. Extreme wrong planchet or striking errors can push collector interest even higher. The important point is that the money comes from the right error, not simply because the coin carries the 1999 Connecticut design. Condition can also matter. A quarter with strong original luster, sharp tree details, clean fields, and minimal contact marks can attract more attention than a heavily circulated example. Modern quarters may seem easy to find, but truly exceptional preservation can be much harder than most people expect. And remember, the supplied image shows the reverse side only. To identify the exact mint, turn your own coin over and check the mint mark on the obverse. Do not guess Philadelphia or Denver from the reverse. If you notice anything unusual, do not clean the coin. Do not polish the tree, scrape the branches, or use chemicals trying to make the details sharper. Original surfaces can be very important when a coin turns out to have a legitimate collector feature. So whenever you find a 1999 Connecticut State quarter, inspect the Charter Oak. Study the branch's and trunk, check the lettering, follow the rim, and turn the coin over to identify the mint mark. Because sometimes the detail that changes the story is not hidden in a tiny corner. Sometimes it is sitting right in the middle of the tree. A 1974 Washington quarter is the kind of coin that can disappear into a jar for decades because nothing about the date immediately screams rarity. But that is exactly why collectors slow down when they find one with an unusual strike, suspicious die characteristic, abnormal planchet, or exceptionally strong preservation. With this date, the real opportunity is not simply owning a quarter from 1974, it is finding the right version of that quarter. Start with the 1974 date at the bottom of Washington's portrait. Examine all 4 digits carefully. Look for unusual thickness, separation, distortion, or doubling around the edges. Then move to In God We Trust and inspect each letter under strong light. After that, study Liberty across the top. Small lettering can sometimes reveal die-related abnormalities more clearly than the larger portrait, but remember that ordinary scratches, flattened metal, and circulation damage can create very convincing false alarms. Now inspect the area beside Washington's ponytail for the mint mark. Depending on the exact issue, identifying the mint is essential before comparing your coin with known varieties or collector populations. A strange-looking mint mark should not automatically be called rare. A hit from another coin, corrosion, or surface damage can distort the letter enough to make it look dramatically different from its original shape. Next, focus on Washington's portrait. Examine the hair, cheek, jaw, neck, and the large open fields around the face. These areas tell you a lot about condition. A heavily circulated 1974 quarter may show flattened details and numerous contact marks, while a sharper survivor can retain much more definition and original luster. Two coins with the same date can have completely different collector appeal simply because one survived far better. Then flip the coin over and study the eagle reverse. Look at the wings, breast, arrows, olive branches, and the lettering around United States of America and quarter dollar. Follow the rim around the entire coin. A major off-center strike, clipped planche, broad strike, or another genuine production problem usually affects the design in a consistent way rather than appearing as one random damaged spot. This is where the big money possibility comes into play. A normal circulated 1974 Washington quarter is not automatically valuable, but a dramatic authenticated mint error, unusual planche strike, significant die variety, or exceptionally high-grade survivor can move a coin into hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on the exact rarity and condition. The important part is that the value comes from the error or exceptional specimen, not simply from the 1974 date. Be careful with anything that looks dramatic. A scratch can resemble a die crack. Machine damage can imitate doubling. Corrosion can make letters appear missing. The feature has to make sense as part of the original minting process. And if you see something unusual, do not clean it. Do not polish it, scrape it, or use chemicals. Original surfaces can become extremely important once a coin enters serious collector territory. So whenever you find a 1974 Washington quarter, check the date, identify the mint mark, inspect In God We Trust, study Washington's portrait, and turn the coin over to examine the eagle rim and surfaces. Because sometimes the quarter that looks completely ordinary becomes interesting for one reason: the detail everyone else missed. A 1929 Buffalo nickel sits in an interesting part of the series because it can look ordinary enough to be ignored, yet the right example can tell a much bigger collector story. By this point in the Buffalo nickel series, millions of these coins had already entered circulation, which means surviving examples can range from heavily worn pieces to much sharper coins with strong original detail. That difference matters. The real question is not simply whether your nickel says 1929. The real question is whether it has the right mint mark, right condition, right strike, and right surfaces to move beyond an ordinary 5-cent coin. Start with the 1929 date beneath the Native American portrait. Look carefully at all 4 digits. Buffalo nickel dates are famous for wearing down, so a clearly readable date is already useful when you are trying to identify the coin. After that, inspect Liberty near the rim. Look at the shape and strength of the letters, then move to the portrait itself. Study the hair, feathers, cheek, nose, and neck. These areas can help you understand how much circulation where the coin has experienced and whether stronger original details survived. But one of the most important clues is not visible on the obverse. You need to turn the coin over and inspect the mint mark on the reverse. A 1929 Buffalo nickel with no mint mark, a 1929D, and a 1929S can have very different collector interest depending on the exact issue and condition. That tiny letter can completely change how collectors evaluate the coin, so do not make a value judgment from the date alone. Now look at the buffalo on the reverse. Pay close attention to the horn, head, shoulder, back, and legs. These areas can lose detail quickly through circulation, and stronger surviving detail can become very important when evaluating condition. Also inspect the lettering around 5 cents in United States of America. If anything looks unusually doubled, incomplete, distorted, or shifted, compare it carefully with normal examples before assuming you have a rare variety or mint error. This is where the big money possibility comes into play. A standard worn 1929 Buffalo nickel may not be a major jackpot, but the right issue with exceptional preservation, a legitimate variety, or a dramatic mint-made error can enter hundreds, thousands, and even 5-figure collector territory when the exact rarity supports it. That is the difference between simply owning an old nickel and owning the right version of that nickel. And remember, Old coins can fool the eye. Scratches can look like die lines. Flattened details can look like missing design elements. Corrosion can distort letters. Rim damage can imitate striking problems. A genuine mint-made feature should make sense as part of the original production process. If your 1929 Buffalo nickel looks unusually sharp or shows something suspicious, do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not scrape the surface. Do not use chemicals trying to expose more detail. Original surfaces are part of the coin's collector appeal. So whenever you find a 1929 Buffalo nickel, check the date, inspect Liberty, study the portrait, turn the coin over, identify the mint mark, examine the buffalo, and evaluate the condition carefully. Because with Buffalo nickels, the date may get your attention. But the mint mark and condition are often where the real collector story begins. 1999 Delaware State Quarter carries one of the most recognizable early state quarter designs, and that is exactly why collectors should not rush past it. The horse and rider in the center looks simple enough, but the design contains several areas where die characteristics, strike problems, and genuine mint errors can become easier to spot. The key is not simply seeing something unusual. The key is deciding whether that unusual feature was created at the mint or added later by circulation damage. Begin with Caesar Rodney A.N.D., the horse in the center of the reverse. Look carefully at the horse's legs, body, tail, and the rider's outline. Pay special attention to any area that appears doubled, unusually thick, missing, distorted, or shifted. Then inspect the lettering around the design, including Delaware, 1787, the first state, 1999, and E pluribus unum. Compare the edges of the letters and numbers. A genuine die-related feature should look consistent with the way the design was struck, while scratches, dents, and circulation marks can create random shapes that disappear or change under different lighting. Now move to the rim. Follow it all the way around the coin. Look for anything that appears unusually narrow, incomplete, clipped, or off-center. A dramatic off-center strike, clip planché, broad strike, or another major striking error can instantly push a coin into a different collector category. But normal edge damage can imitate these problems, so the rest of the design has to support the same production story. This is where the big money possibility becomes exciting. A standard circulated 1999 Delaware quarter may remain close to face value, but a genuine dramatic mint error can move a state quarter into hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on the exact type, rarity, and condition. Major wrong planché or severe striking errors can attract even stronger collector interest. The date alone does not create the money. The value comes from the right error, right diagnostic, and right condition. Condition can also change the story. Look at the open fields around the horse and rider. Strong original luster, clean surfaces, sharp detail, and minimal contact marks can make one example much more appealing than another. Two Delaware quarters with the exact same reverse design can look completely different under magnification. And remember, the supplied image shows the reverse side only. To identify the exact mint, turn your own coin over and check the mint mark on the obverse. Do not assume Philadelphia or Denver from the reverse alone. If you find something unusual, do not clean the coin. Do not polish the horse, scrape the lettering, or use chemicals. Original surfaces can become very important if the coin turns out to have a legitimate collector feature. So whenever you find a 1999 Delaware State quarter, inspect the horse A&D rider, check the lettering, follow the rim, examine the surfaces, and turn the coin over to identify the mint mark. Because sometimes the detail that changes the collector story is hiding in a design millions of people have seen, but almost nobody has actually studied. A 1969 Washington quarter may look like nothing more than an older piece of pocket change. But this is exactly the kind of date collectors can overlook, because the real value story is rarely printed clearly on the surface. The year itself does not automatically make the coin rare. What matters is whether that particular quarter carries the right die characteristic, an unusual strike, a legitimate planché error, or survives in a level of condition that separates it from the thousands of worn examples still sitting in old jars and collections. Start with the 1969 date beneath Washington's portrait. Look carefully at all 4 digits. Inspect the edges of the numbers for unusual thickness, separation, shifting, or anything that appears repeated. Then move to "In God We Trust" and study each letter individually. After that, examine Liberty around the upper rim. These areas deserve close attention because small die abnormalities can sometimes become easier to see around letters and numbers than across the larger portrait. But this is also where old circulation damage can fool you. A scratch can resemble a die crack. Flattened metal can imitate doubling. Corrosion can make parts of a letter seem missing. And a strong contact mark can distort a design element enough to look like something dramatic under magnification. That is why a genuine mint-made feature has to fit logically with the way the coin was struck. Now study Washington's portrait. Look at the hair, forehead, cheek, jaw, neck, and the open fields around the face. The amount of remaining detail can tell you a great deal about the coin's condition. Many 1969 quarters spent years circulating, so an unusually sharp example with stronger original surfaces can immediately become more interesting than an average worn coin. Then, turn the quarter over and inspect the eagle reverse. Study the wings, breast, legs, arrows, olive branches, and the lettering around United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. Follow the rim all the way around. Look for anything that seems off-center, unusually weak, clipped, distorted, or affected by abnormal metal flow. This is where the big money possibility comes into the picture. A typical circulated 1969 Washington quarter may remain close to face value, but a dramatic authenticated mint error, wrong planche strike, significant die variety, or exceptional high-grade survivor can move the discussion into hundreds or thousands of dollars. More extreme Washington quarter errors can command even stronger collector attention when the exact diagnostic and rarity support it. The important distinction is simple: 1969 is only the starting point. The serious value comes from the right error, right diagnostic, right strike, and right condition. Tilt the quarter under strong light and examine the date, lettering, rim, and reverse from several angles. If an unusual feature remains consistent, it deserves a closer look. And whatever you find, do not clean it. Do not polish it, scrape it, or use chemicals to improve the appearance. Original surfaces can become extremely important if the coin actually has collector significance. So whenever a 1969 Washington quarter appears in an old roll, drawer, collection, or pocket change, do not simply read the date and move on. Check the 1969 date. Inspect the lettering. Study Washington's portrait. Examine the eagle reverse. Follow the rim. Because sometimes the quarter everyone else spends is the one hiding the mint-made detail they never checked. Next up, Coin 1 1967 Washington quarter. The year 1937 should immediately slow down any Buffalo nickel collector because this date is connected with one of the most famous diagnostic stories in the entire series. At first glance, the obverse may look like another old Indian head nickel. The date is visible, Liberty is still present, and nothing on the front necessarily screams jackpot. But that is exactly why the 1937 Buffalo nickel creates so much curiosity. The most important clue may not even be on the side you are looking at. Sometimes you have to turn the coin over before the real story begins. Start with the 1937 date beneath the Native American portrait. Check all 4 digits carefully and make sure the year is readable. Then inspect Liberty along the rim. Look for unusual weakness, distortion, doubling, or anything that appears different from the surrounding design. After that, study the portrait itself. Examine the feathers, hair, cheek, nose, and neck. Condition matters because Buffalo nickels were heavily circulated and raised design areas can lose detail quickly. A sharper surviving example can immediately attract more attention than a heavily worn coin of the same date. But now comes the part that makes 1937 especially exciting. Turn the coin over and inspect the Buffalo carefully. Collectors associate this date with a famous variety involving the buffalo's leg area, and that means you should never judge a 1937 nickel from the obverse alone. Look closely at the legs, the ground beneath the buffalo, the body, and the surrounding design. The valuable variety requires the correct reverse diagnostic, so a normal 1937 buffalo nickel should never be confused with the famous missing leg type simply because the date matches. This is where beginners can make a very expensive assumption. Heavy wear, scratches, corrosion, or damage can make part of the buffalo's leg look weak or even disappear. That does not automatically create the famous variety. The correct coin needs the right mint mark, right die characteristics, and right reverse features. One worn leg is not enough. And this is where the big money story gets serious. The right 1937 buffalo nickel variety, especially when the diagnostic is genuine and the coin survives in strong condition, can move into thousands of dollars and even five-figure collector territory for exceptional examples. That enormous difference is exactly why people search old buffalo nickels so carefully. One coin may be a normal 5-cent piece from 1937. Another may carry the exact combination collectors have chased for decades. Now inspect the reverse for the mint mark beneath the denomination area. That tiny letter is critical because not every 1937 buffalo nickel belongs to the same variety story. Then examine the buffalo's legs, horn, body, and ground line under magnification. Compare suspicious areas instead of guessing from one worn detail. And if your coin looks unusual, do not clean it, polish it, scrape it, or alter the leg area trying to make the diagnostic easier to see. Original surfaces and untouched details matter. So when you find a 1937 buffalo nickel, do not stop after reading the date. Check the mint mark, turn the coin over, study the buffalo's legs, inspect the reverse diagnostics, and evaluate the condition carefully. Because with this date, the difference between 5 cents and serious collector money may be hiding in something as simple as one missing leg. A 1999 Georgia State quarter may be the final coin in this countdown, but it is also one of the best examples of why state quarters should never be judged by the state name alone. The reverse looks familiar: a large peach, the outline of Georgia, 2 branches, and a banner carrying the words wisdom, justice, moderation. Most people see that design and move on. A collector looks at the same coin and starts asking a different set of questions. Are the design elements complete? Is the strike centered correctly? Is there unusual doubling, missing detail, abnormal metal flow, or another genuine mint-made characteristic hiding inside the design? Begin with the peach in the center. Look carefully at the outline, the stem, the leaves, and the surrounding state shape. Then inspect the banner and the words wisdom, justice, moderation. These narrow letters and design lines can be useful because scratches, flattened metal, and circulation damage can easily imitate something more exciting. A genuine die-related feature should look like part of the original design, not like random damage added later. Next, inspect the lettering at the top and bottom. Look closely at Georgia, 1788, 1999, and E pluribus unum. Pay attention to any repeated edges, unusual thickness, missing portions, or shifted-looking details. If something seems doubled, tilt the coin slowly under a strong light and compare the same area from several angles. A true die characteristic will remain consistent, while reflections and surface marks can change dramatically. Now follow the rim all the way around the quarter. A genuine off-center strike, clipped planche, broad strike, or another major production error can alter the relationship between the rim and the design. If the coin shows unusual spacing or missing design elements near one edge, compare the entire piece before assuming it is a mint error. Post-mint damage can create convincing false positives. This is where the big money possibility comes into the story. A normal circulated 1999 Georgia quarter may stay close to face value, but a legitimate dramatic mint error can move a state quarter into hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on exactly what happened, how rare the error is, and how well the coin survived. Major wrong planche or severe striking errors can attract even stronger collector attention. The important point is that the money comes from the right error, not simply because the coin is a 1999 Georgia quarter. Condition also matters. Inspect the open fields around the peach and banner. Look for original luster, sharp edges, clean surfaces, and minimal contact marks. Two Georgia quarters with the same reverse design can have completely different collector appeal if one is heavily circulated and the other survives with unusually strong detail. And because the supplied photo shows the reverse side only, you still need to turn your own coin over and check the mint mark on the obverse. Do not guess Philadelphia or Denver from the reverse. If you find something unusual, do not clean it. Do not polish the peach, scrape the lettering, or use chemicals. Original surfaces can be extremely important if the coin turns out to have a legitimate variety or error. So whenever you find a 1999 Georgia State quarter, inspect the peach, the state outline, the banner, the lettering, the rim, and the surfaces. Then turn the coin over and identify the mint mark. Because sometimes the quarter that looks completely familiar is the one that deserves the closest inspection. And that is exactly why collectors keep checking state quarters instead of spending them blindly. A 1967 Washington quarter deserves the #1 position in this countdown because this date comes from a very unusual period in modern U.S. coinage. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary worn quarter with no mint mark, but that absence is actually normal for this year. During this period, quarters were produced without mint marks, which means the real hunt is not about finding a tiny P, D, or S beside Washington's portrait. Instead, collectors focus much more closely on the strike, planche, die characteristics, condition, and any genuine mint-made error that could separate one 1967 quarter from another. Start with the 1967 date at the bottom of the obverse. Examine all 4 digits carefully. Look for unusual thickness, shifting, separation, or distorted edges. Then move to In God We Trust and inspect the lettering under strong light. After that, study Liberty around the upper rim. Small lettering and numbers can sometimes reveal suspicious die characteristics more clearly than the larger portrait, but one unusual-looking edge does not automatically mean you have discovered something rare. Now examine Washington's portrait. Look carefully at the hair, forehead, cheek, jaw, neck, and the open field surrounding the face. On circulated quarters, scratches and contact marks can create shapes that look dramatic under magnification. A scratch can imitate a die crack. Flattened metal can resemble doubling. Corrosion or environmental damage can make part of a letter appear missing. The important question is always whether the feature makes sense as something created during the minting process. Then turn the quarter over and inspect the eagle reverse. Study the eagle's wings, breast, arrows, olive branches, and the lettering around United States of America, E pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. Follow the rim around the entire coin. Look for an unusual offset, missing design area, abnormal rim width, strange metal flow, or anything suggesting a genuine off-center strike, clipped planche, broad strike, or another production anomaly. This is where the big money possibility becomes especially interesting. A normal circulated 1967 Washington quarter is not automatically a jackpot, but a dramatic genuine mint error. Unusual planche strike, significant die variety, or exceptional high-grade survivor can move the coin far beyond 25 cents. The right error can enter hundreds or thousands of dollars, and major Washington quarter production mistakes can command even stronger collector attention when the exact rarity and diagnostics support it. And because 1967 quarters normally do not carry a mint mark, do not assume a missing mint mark is an error. That is one of the easiest mistakes beginners can make with this date. Instead, focus on what actually matters: the metal, the strike, the die details, the rim, the condition. Tilt the quarter slowly under strong light and inspect both sides from several angles. If something looks raised, doubled, shifted, or unusually struck, compare it with the rest of the coin before reaching a conclusion. And if you think you have found something important, do not clean it. Do not polish the surface, scrape the lettering, or use chemicals. Original surfaces can become extremely important when a coin turns out to have genuine collector significance. So whenever you find a 1967 Washington quarter, check the 1967 date, inspect In God We Trust, study Washington's portrait, examine the eagle reverse, follow the rim, and remember that the lack of a mint mark is expected. Because with this coin, the valuable clue may not be a letter that is missing. It may be a mint-made detail almost everyone else failed to notice. 1923 Buffalo nickel can create exactly the kind of false confidence that causes people to overlook valuable coins. The date is old enough to look interesting, but familiar enough that many collectors stop after confirming the year. That is a mistake. With Buffalo nickels, the date is only the first clue. The real collector story can depend on the mint mark, the strength of the strike, the amount of surviving detail, and whether the coin shows a legitimate die variety or mint-made error. That means two nickels carrying the same 1923 date can belong to completely different worlds of collector interest. Start beneath the Native American portrait and inspect the 1923 date carefully. Buffalo nickel dates are positioned on a raised part of the design, so decades of circulation can weaken or partially erase the numbers. If your 1923 still has a clear date, examine the edges of each digit and look for anything unusually thick, shifted, or distorted. Then move upward to Liberty near the rim. Look at the strength of the letters and compare them with the surrounding design. After that, study the portrait itself. Inspect the feathers, hair, cheek, nose, and neck. These areas can tell you a lot about how heavily the coin circulated and how much original detail remains. But the most important identification step may be hiding on the other side. Turn the nickel over and look beneath 5 cents for the mint mark. A 1923 coin with no mint mark and a 1923 S issue are not automatically the same collector proposition. That tiny letter can completely change how seriously collectors evaluate the coin, especially when condition becomes part of the equation. This is why an old Buffalo nickel should never be valued from the obverse alone. Now inspect the buffalo on the reverse. Look carefully at the horn, head, shoulder, back, hip, and legs. Stronger detail in these areas can become extremely important. A heavily worn example may have a weak horn and flattened body details, while a much sharper survivor can look dramatically different. And when a scarcer issue survives with strong detail, original surfaces, and a clean, attractive appearance, collector competition can increase quickly. This is where the big money possibility begins. The correct 1923 Buffalo nickel, especially when the right mint, right condition, and a legitimate variety or error come together, can move from 5 cents into hundreds, thousands, and potentially five-figure collector territory for exceptional examples. That does not mean every 1923 nickel is a jackpot. The huge difference comes from the exact issue A&D exact condition, not the date alone. And be careful with dark spots, corrosion, scratches, or strange-looking surfaces. An old nickel can accumulate decades of environmental damage, and those marks can imitate something rare. A scratch may resemble a die line. Flattened metal may look doubled. Corrosion may make letters or design elements appear missing. The feature has to make sense as something created during the original minting process. If your coin looks unusually sharp or shows a suspicious feature, do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not scrape away dark areas. Do not use chemicals trying to make the date or mint mark clearer. Original surfaces can be extremely important once a coin becomes collectible. So whenever you find a 1923 Buffalo nickel, check the date, inspect Liberty, study the portrait, turn it over, identify the mint mark, and examine the buffalo's horn, body, legs, and surfaces. Because sometimes the difference between an old 5-cent coin and a serious collector prize is not obvious from the front. It is hiding in the one detail you only see after you turn the coin over. The 1921 Buffalo nickel has a completely different kind of appeal, because this is where age, scarcity, preservation, and mint identification can start working together in a very serious way. A coin from 1921 has already survived more than a century, and every decade of circulation had another chance to erase the date, flatten the design, damage the rim, or destroy the original surfaces. So when a 1921 nickel still shows a readable date and useful design detail, collectors immediately have more information to work with. But the real question is not simply, is this coin old? The real question is, which 1921 issue is this, and how much original detail survived? Begin with the 1921 date beneath the Native American portrait. Buffalo nickel dates sit in a vulnerable raised area, so even moderate circulation can weaken them. Study every digit carefully. If all four numbers remain readable, do not rub the area trying to improve visibility. Then move toward Liberty near the rim. Look at the strength of the letters and compare them with the rest of the design. After that, inspect the portrait itself. Pay particular attention to the feathers, hair, cheek, nose, and neck. These high detail areas can help reveal just how much wear the coin has experienced. Now comes one of the most important parts of the investigation. Turn the coin over and locate the mint mark area on the reverse. With Buffalo nickels, the mint information can dramatically affect collector interest, and you cannot determine the complete identity of the coin from the obverse alone. A tiny letter on the reverse may separate one issue from another and completely change the rarity discussion. That is why serious collectors never stop after reading 1921. Then inspect the buffalo itself. Look closely at the horn, head, shoulder, back, hip, and legs. Strong detail in these areas can become extremely important because heavy circulation often removes them. A worn buffalo may appear almost smooth in places, while a better preserved example can retain much more structure and depth. When a scarcer issue survives with sharp detail, original surfaces, and an attractive strike, the collector value can rise very quickly. And this is where the big money side becomes impossible to ignore. A normal worn 1921 Buffalo nickel and an exceptional example are not the same collectible. The correct combination of mint, condition, rarity, strike, and diagnostics can move a Buffalo nickel from 5 cents into hundreds, thousands, and potentially five-figure collector territory when the exact issue and preservation level are exceptional. The important thing is that the value belongs to the right version, not every coin carrying the 1921 date. This is also why old surfaces must be treated carefully. Dark toning, minor marks, or uneven color may look unattractive to someone who is new to coin collecting. But trying to fix those surfaces can create permanent damage. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not scrape the date or mint mark. Original surfaces can be one of the things collectors care about most. So, if you find a 1921 Buffalo nickel, slow down. Check the date, inspect Liberty, study the portrait, turn the coin over, identify the mint mark, and examine the buffalo's horn, body, legs, and surfaces. Because with a coin this old, the biggest difference may not be something you notice immediately. It may be the tiny mint detail A&D surviving condition that turns an old nickel into a serious collector coin. This is where the countdown reaches the beginning of the Buffalo nickel story. The 1913 Buffalo nickel was the first year of the series, and that alone gives collectors a reason to stop and inspect it carefully. But the date is only part of what makes 1913 so interesting. This year is connected with an important design change, multiple mint issues, and varieties that can look almost identical from the front while becoming completely different once you examine the reverse. That means a 1913 nickel can go from an old 5-cent coin to a serious collector prize depending on the exact type, mint, and condition. Begin with the 1913 date beneath the Native American portrait. On Buffalo nickels, the date sits on a raised area that can wear down quickly, so a clearly readable 1913 deserves attention. Study the digits carefully, then move toward Liberty near the rim. After that, inspect the portrait. Look closely at the feathers, hair, cheek, nose, neck, and shoulder. Stronger surviving detail can be important because coins from the first year of issue have had more than a century to circulate, wear, and lose their original sharpness. But the real mystery of a 1913 Buffalo nickel begins when you turn it over. This date is associated with two major reverse design types commonly called Type 1 and Type 2. The difference is found around the buffalo and the ground beneath it, so the obverse image alone cannot tell you which type you have. That distinction matters. You should study the buffalo, the mound or ground line, the denomination, and the mint mark area carefully before trying to identify the exact variety. Now check beneath 5 cents for the mint mark. A 1913 coin with no mint mark, a 1913D, and a 1913S can belong to very different collector categories. Combine that with the correct Type 1 or Type 2 reverse, and suddenly the date becomes much more than a simple 1913 nickel. This is why experienced collectors do not value a Buffalo nickel from the front alone. And this is where the big money story becomes strongest in this countdown. Early Buffalo nickels with the right mint, right design type, right condition, and strong original surfaces can move far beyond 5 cents. Scarcer issues and exceptional examples can reach thousands of dollars, move into five-figure collector territory. And the most extraordinary Buffalo nickel rarities can command dramatically higher sums when the exact coin supports that level of demand. The key is that the value belongs to the exact rare version, not every nickel carrying the 1913 date. Be careful with wear. A weak ground line can be caused by circulation. A damaged letter can imitate a die issue. Scratches, corrosion, and environmental damage can create dramatic-looking features that were never produced at the mint. Compare the entire reverse instead of relying on one suspicious area. And if you discover a sharp 1913 nickel or something unusual on the reverse, do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not scrape it. Do not use chemicals. Original surfaces can be one of the most important parts of a collectible coin. So whenever you find a 1913 Buffalo nickel, do not stop at the first year date. Check the 1913 date, inspect Liberty, study the portrait, turn the coin over, identify the Type 1 or Type 2 reverse, locate the mint mark, and examine the Buffalo ground line A&D condition carefully. Because with the first year of the Buffalo nickel series, the front may tell you the date, but the reverse can tell you whether you are holding something far more important.